Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
If you're between 30 and 65, living in the United States, and you've ever wondered whether your old coins could fund a dream vacation, wipe out debt, or even transform your lifestyle, this is the video you cannot afford to skip. Let's begin with the basics. The 1988 Lincoln 1-cent penny was struck during a transitional era for U.S. coinage. Since 1982, pennies have been composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. By 1988, the design still featured the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, originally designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The no mint mark version means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At that time, Philadelphia did not place a peak mint mark on pennies. So if your 1988 penny has no mint mark under the date, it came from Philadelphia. Now here's where things get interesting. Over 5 billion 1988 pennies were minted in Philadelphia. That sounds common, and it is. Most 1988 pennies are worth only face value. Even in mint state, they typically sell for a few cents to a few dollars. So why are we even talking about it? Because not all 1988 no mint mark pennies are ordinary. In the world of coin collecting, small details create enormous value. Tiny variations. Subtle errors. Microscopic design differences that the average person would never notice. And in 1988, something unusual happened at the US Mint. To understand this, we need to talk about mint mark punches. Before 1990, mint marks were punched into dies by hand. That means individual dies were manually marked with letters indicating where the coin was produced. In 1988, the US Mint changed the style of the mint mark used on Lincoln cents. That year, there were actually two different mint mark styles, a 1988 style and a 1989 style. This created one of the most famous transitional errors in modern penny history, the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, although this variety is most famously associated with the 1988 D penny. Collectors also examine Philadelphia issues closely for subtle reverse differences and die anomalies. What makes the reverse of 1989 special? Look closely at the designer's initials, FG, on the reverse, near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. On the reverse of 1989, the FG initials are positioned differently and appear farther from the building compared to the standard 1988 reverse. That small design change, barely noticeable without magnification, can turn an ordinary cent into a collector's prize. Now imagine this: that you're sorting through a jar of pennies collected over decades. You spot a 1988 penny. No mint mark. You flip it over and inspect the FG initials. They look slightly separated from the memorial. That's the moment collectors dream about, because rare transitional varieties and high-grade specimens from this year have commanded significant premiums at auction. But variety alone is not enough. Condition is king. That if you want serious money, your coin must be in exceptional condition, ideally uncirculated. That means no wear on Lincoln's cheek, jawline, or coat. The coin should have strong luster, that original mint shine that cartwheels under light. The edges must be sharp. The details in the Lincoln Memorial must be crisp and well defined. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades on a scale from 1 to 70. Modern pennies that reach MS66, MS67, or even higher can become exponentially more valuable because so few survive in pristine condition. Here's what most people don't realize: modern coins are often saved, but not perfectly preserved. They get tossed into rolls. They bounce around in bank bags. They scrape against each other. Finding one that is virtually flawless decades later is harder than you think, and rarity plus condition equals demand. There have been auction records where high-grade 1988 transitional varieties have stunned collectors with their final sale prices. Competitive bidding, registry set collectors, and variety specialists can drive prices dramatically higher than guidebook estimates. But let's go deeper. Besides transitional reverses, 1988 no mint mark pennies can also feature other valuable errors: double die errors, where the design appears slightly doubled due to misalignment during die creation. Off-center strikes, where the design is not properly centered on the blank planchet. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error, die cracks, cuts, and retained die breaks, all fascinating mint anomalies that collectors actively pursue. Each of these errors tells a story. A moment inside the mint when machinery, metal, and human oversight intersected imperfectly, creating a unique coin, and unique means valuable. If you're serious about checking your 1988 pennies, here's what you should do. First, gather all 1988 pennies with no mint mark. Second, use a magnifying glass, at least 5x to 10x magnification. Third, inspect the reverse carefully, especially the FG initials and the spacing relative to the memorial. Fourth, check for doubling in the lettering, especially Liberty and in God We Trust. Fifth, evaluate the condition under bright, natural light. That if you believe you have something unusual, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even wiping it with a cloth can leave hairline scratches that professional graders will detect immediately. Instead, store it in a protective holder and consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. Now let's talk about the market. Coin collecting has experienced waves of renewed interest over the past decade. Economic uncertainty, inflation concerns, and the rise of online auction platforms have pushed more Americans to search through their collections. Registry competition has intensified. High-grade modern coins once ignored are now being aggressively pursued. The supply of pristine examples continues to shrink as more are certified and locked into long-term collections, and when demand outpaces supply, prices rise. For the everyday American viewer watching this right now, this isn't just about metal. It's about opportunity. How many pennies have passed through your hands since 1988? How many jars sit in basements across America? How many rolls of coins remain unopened in dresser drawers? Treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's copper-plated zinc hiding in plain sight. The beauty of the 1988 no mint mark Lincoln cent is accessibility. You don't need to inherit a rare gold coin. You don't need to spend thousands at auction. You simply need awareness, patience, and attention to detail. And remember, even if you don't find a top-tier transitional variety, high-grade examples can still command impressive premiums. Especially those graded MS-67 or above, where population numbers drop dramatically. Collectors building complete Lincoln cent date and mint sets often require the finest known examples. When only a handful exist at the highest grade, bidding wars can erupt. Imagine listing your coin at auction. Watching collectors compete. Seeing the numbers climb. Realizing that the penny you once ignored is now funding something meaningful in your life. This is why knowledge matters. This is why you watch videos like this, because opportunity favors the informed. Take this as your sign to start searching tonight. Check your change. Open that old jar. Look through inherited collections. Ask family members if they have old rolls stored away. The 1988 no mint mark Lincoln cent may look ordinary, but in the right condition, with the right variety, it can become extraordinary. Imagine discovering that a single cent, something most people ignore or even throw away, could help fund a dream, pay off debt, or transform your financial future. For collectors and everyday Americans between 30 and 65 who are serious about turning overlooked coins into real money, this is not fantasy. It is opportunity. And opportunity often hides in plain sight. The 1964 D Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary Denver Mint in Colorado. That small D beneath the date is your first clue that you're holding a coin minted in Denver. In 1964, America was experiencing change, politically, economically, and culturally. The Lincoln cent was already a staple of American life, designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. By 1964, billions of Lincoln cents had been produced. In fact, the Denver Mint struck over 3.7 billion Lincoln cents that year. At first glance, that number suggests the coin is common, and in circulated condition, it is. But here's what many people do not understand: rarity is not always about mintage alone. It is about condition, quality, and errors. The 1964 D Lincoln cent is part of the wheat reverse era successor, the memorial reverse design that began in 1959. On the obverse, you see the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above him is the word Liberty. To the right of Lincoln is the date 1964, with a small D mint mark below it. On the reverse, you see the Lincoln Memorial, a detailed structure that represents strength, endurance, and American heritage. These coins were struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. That copper content gives the coin its warm reddish tone when preserved properly. And here's where things get exciting. Collectors prize original red specimens, coins that have retained their full mint luster and brilliant red color. The grading designation RD, meaning red, can make a massive difference in value compared to coins that have darkened or browned over time. When evaluating a 1964 D Lincoln cent, condition is everything. Most examples found in pocket change are heavily circulated and worth only face value or a few cents. But coins that were set aside, stored in rolls, or preserved carefully can achieve high mint state grades from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Mint state grades range from MS60 to MS70. As the numbers climb, so does the value. An MS63 example may be modestly priced. An MS65 coin, with sharp strike and strong luster, begins to command serious attention. But once you move into MS66 or MS67 red territory, the numbers change dramatically. Why? Because surviving examples in pristine condition become scarce. Billions were made, yes. But very few survived untouched for decades without nicks, bag marks, or discoloration. High-grade coins represent the top fraction of 1%, but that's not all. Error coins add another layer of potential wealth. The 1964 D Lincoln cent is known to exist with certain striking anomalies and die errors. Collectors search for double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and planchet errors. A dramatic off-center strike showing a clear date can turn a common cent into a collector's prize. A strong double die on the obverse, especially visible in Liberty or the date, can multiply value significantly. One fascinating aspect of 1964 coinage is the transitional period in American coin production. While the Lincoln cent remained copper in 1964, other denominations were undergoing changes in composition due to rising silver prices. That era of transition adds historical interest and drives collector demand for well-preserved examples from the period. Now let's talk real market behavior. Collectors in the United States, particularly serious hobbyists and investors, are constantly competing for top population coins. Population reports from grading services reveal how many examples exist at each grade. When a coin has a very low population in MS67 red, for example, demand can skyrocket. Auction records show that when two determined bidders want the same top-quality coin, the final hammer price can exceed expectations. For viewers between 30 and 65 years old who are thinking strategically about assets, coins represent something unique. They are tangible. They are historical. And in certain cases, they are limited by survival, not just mintage. That combination creates scarcity in the marketplace. So how do you know if your 1964 D Lincoln cent is valuable? First, examine the color. Is it bright red, or has it turned brown? Original red coins are more desirable. Second, inspect the surfaces. Use magnification. Look for heavy scratches, contact marks, or dullness. The fewer distractions on the surface, the better the grade potential. Third, check for errors. Study the lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust. Look closely at the date and mint mark. Compare your coin to verified double die examples online from reputable auction archives. Fourth, consider professional grading. While grading costs money, it can authenticate, protect, and maximize value for coins that truly deserve it. The coin market rewards patience and knowledge. Many people overlook coins because they assume common dates cannot be valuable. But history proves otherwise. High-grade modern-era coins have surprised the market again and again. Think about the psychology behind it. When billions were made, most were spent. Very few were preserved in flawless condition. Over decades, attrition reduces the number of pristine survivors. Meanwhile, collector demand remains steady, and often increases as new generations enter the hobby. There's also something powerful about owning a piece of American history from 1964. That year marked the final year before major changes to U.S. coinage metals in other denominations. It was a year of transition, and coins from that year represent the end of one monetary era and the beginning of another. Now imagine opening an old coin roll from a relative's estate. Inside are bright, untouched 1964 D cents, still glowing red. That discovery could be more than sentimental. It could be financially meaningful. Serious collectors study strike quality as well. Some 1964 D cents show sharper details in Lincoln's hair and the Lincoln Memorial columns than others. Strong strike examples are preferred, especially when combined with blazing red color and minimal contact marks. Storage also plays a major role in long-term value. Coins kept in dry, temperature-controlled environments maintain their color and surfaces better than those exposed to humidity or handling. If you believe you have high-grade examples, avoid cleaning them. Cleaning destroys originality and can dramatically reduce value. Let's talk motivation. Many Americans today are looking for alternative assets, tangible items that hold value outside of traditional markets. Rare coins have a long history of resilience. They combine history, artistry, and scarcity. And unlike digital assets, you can hold them in your hand. The 1964 D Lincoln cent might seem humble, but under the right circumstances, it becomes a powerful reminder that wealth can be hidden in everyday places. Coin collecting is not only about nostalgia. It is about knowledge, strategy, and opportunity. When you start paying attention to small details, mint marks, strike quality, color designation, population reports, you move from casual observer to informed collector. And informed collectors are the ones who spot value before the rest of the market catches up. For those watching who are serious about selling old and rare coins, research is your strongest ally. Study auction archives. Compare graded examples. Learn the difference between circulated, about uncirculated, and mint state. Knowledge transforms ordinary change into calculated opportunity. Now here is the moment that truly captures attention. While most 1964 D Lincoln cents trade for only a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition, exceptionally preserved, top population red examples have achieved remarkable auction results. In one notable high-grade sale, a pristine example reached a value of $46,737. Picture this. It's 1975. America is moving forward after the celebration of the bicentennial buildup. Gas prices are on people's minds. Rock music is filling the airwaves. And at the Denver Mint, presses are striking millions upon millions of Lincoln cents for circulation. These coins were never meant to be rare treasures. They were meant to buy groceries, pay for parking meters, and disappear into circulation, yet decades later, collectors are hunting specific examples of this coin with intensity. Why? Because condition, strike quality, and rare minting errors can transform an ordinary 1975 D Lincoln cent into a coin worth far more than 1 cent. Let's start with the basics. The 1975 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. The obverse features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse still displays the classic wheat-free Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959. By 1975, these pennies were composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them that rich reddish tone collectors love when preserved properly. Each coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams. Billions were produced at Denver that year, which means in average circulated condition, the coin is extremely common. But here's where things get interesting. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is not just about how many were minted. It is about how many survived in pristine condition. Most 1975 D pennies were heavily circulated. They were tossed into pockets, scratched against other coins, and spent countless times. Very few were carefully saved in high-grade mint state condition, and when you combine high-grade with sharp strike quality and original red luster, you begin to see the kind of coin that collectors fight over. In circulated condition, a 1975 D penny might be worth only a few cents. In lightly uncirculated condition, perhaps $1 or $2. But when you move into certified mint state grades, especially MS66, MS67, or higher, the value can rise dramatically. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on strike, luster, surface preservation, and I appeal. A tiny difference in grade can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars in value difference. Now let's talk about errors. Because this is where the real excitement begins, mint errors are accidents that occur during the coin production process. And collectors love them because they are unique and far scarcer than standard coins. With the 1975 D Lincoln cent, several types of errors have been discovered over the years. There are double die varieties, where design elements appear slightly doubled due to misalignment in the die creation process. There are off-center strikes, where part of the coin design is missing because the blank was not properly aligned when struck. There are clipped planchets, die cracks, and even coins struck through debris. Each of these errors creates individuality. No two error coins are exactly alike. Imagine finding a 1975 D penny with a dramatic off-center strike showing a clear date and mint mark. That alone could elevate the coin into a desirable collector's item. Or discovering strong doubling in the lettering that makes the coin stand out under magnification. But even beyond errors, condition remains king. Collectors pay premiums for what is called red designation. When copper coins are freshly struck, they display a bright red luster. Over time, exposure to air causes oxidation, turning the coin brown. Most surviving 1975 D pennies are brown or red-brown today. A fully red, high-grade example preserved for decades in protective storage is significantly rarer than the average circulated penny. And rarity drives demand. Now imagine someone in 1975 pulling a few rolls of fresh Denver minted pennies from the bank and placing them untouched in a safe deposit box. Fast forward 50 years. Those coins emerge nearly flawless, blazing red, with crisp details and virtually no contact marks. That is the type of coin that can surprise the market. When collectors compete for the finest known examples, especially coins graded at the very top of the population reports, auction prices can soar far beyond what most people expect from a 1-cent coin. And here is something powerful for you to remember. Valuable coins are not always ancient. They are not always from the 1800s. Sometimes they are hiding in plain sight, waiting in old coin jars, inherited collections, or forgotten bank rolls. For viewers between 30 and 65 years old, this is especially important. Many of you grew up during the 1970s and 1980s. You may have handled these very coins as children. Some of you may even have piggy banks or jars filled with cents saved decades ago. The opportunity is real, but it requires knowledge and action. First, you must check the date carefully. Look for 1975 with the small d mint mark beneath the date. Second, examine the condition. Use proper lighting. Tilt the coin to see if it still shows original red luster. Look for minimal scratches and strong detail in Lincoln's hair and the memorial building lines. Third, consider professional grading if the coin appears exceptional. Submitting a coin to a respected grading service can authenticate its condition and maximize its resale value. Fourth, study the market. Auction records tell powerful stories. High-grade copper coins often surprise even seasoned collectors. Remember, the difference between an average coin and a premium coin often comes down to preservation. A coin stored safely for decades can become a financial asset. This is why serious collectors inspect every roll, every inherited collection, every box of loose change. Because occasionally, hidden among the ordinary, there is something extraordinary, and the 1975 D Lincoln cent has proven that in the right condition, with the right characteristics, it can command impressive prices. The key lesson here is not just about one penny. It is about awareness. It is about training your eye to recognize quality. It is about understanding that value is created by rarity, condition, demand, and timing. Many people dream of finding treasure. But treasure rarely announces itself. It hides in details. So the next time you see a jar of old pennies, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Separate the copper cents from the newer zinc ones. Check those mid-1970s dates. Imagine this. It's 1979. America is experiencing inflation, gas lines are in the news, and everyday Americans are counting their pennies more than ever. At the Denver Mint, machines are striking millions upon millions of Lincoln cents for circulation. These coins are made to be spent, dropped in vending machines, handed over at grocery stores, and forgotten. Yet decades later, some of those same pennies are being pulled from circulation, graded, auctioned, and admired behind protective plastic holders. The same coin that once bought a piece of candy can now command thousands of dollars under the right conditions. Let's start with the basics. The 1979 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of his birth. This iconic design was created by Victor David Brenner, and it has become one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. On the reverse of the 1979 penny, you will find the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That means this coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which spans from 1959 to 2008. The 1979 D penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that had been used for decades before the major change to copper-plated zinc in 1982. This is important because collectors often prefer the heavier, solid copper cents, and the metal content gives these coins a certain classic feel. Now here is where it gets interesting. The Denver Mint struck over 4 billion Lincoln cents in 1979. That number alone might make you think this coin is common and worthless. And in circulated condition, that is generally true. Most worn examples are only worth face value or slightly above, perhaps a few cents to a collector who needs one to fill a folder, but coin collecting is not just about how many were made. It is about condition. It is about rarity in high grades. It is about perfection. In the world of coin grading, small differences can mean huge jumps in value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin that has been heavily worn might grade very fine or extremely fine. A coin that was never used in circulation could be graded mint state. And within mint state, the numbers matter deeply. A 1979 D penny in mint state 60 is not the same as one in mint state 65. And a mint state 65 is not the same as a mint state 67 or higher. The higher the grade, the fewer coins exist in that condition. Over time, most coins get scratched, bag marked, or lose their original luster. Even coins that were never circulated can suffer damage from being stored improperly or jostled around in mint bags. That means truly pristine examples become extremely scarce. This is where professional grading companies come into play. Organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company authenticate and assign official grades to coins. When a 1979 D penny earns a top-tier mint state grade with blazing red color and flawless surfaces, collectors take notice. Color is another critical factor. Copper coins naturally change color over time. They start out bright red when freshly struck. As they age and react with the environment, they turn brown. In between, there are red-brown examples. The most valuable pieces are often designated as red, meaning they retain nearly all of their original mint luster and color. A 1979 D Lincoln cent graded mint state with full red designation and minimal marks can bring dramatically higher prices than a typical brown example found in circulation. Now let's talk about errors. Coin errors are among the most exciting aspects of numismatics. These are mistakes that occur during the minting process. They can include off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and other anomalies. While the 1979 D penny is not widely known for a major double die like some other famous dates, minor die varieties and striking errors do exist. A strong off-center strike or a dramatic error on a 1979 D penny can push the value far beyond what a normal coin would bring. Collectors love uniqueness. They love stories. And an error coin tells a story of something unexpected happening inside the mint, but even without a dramatic error, the condition rarity of high-grade 1979 D pennies is where the real opportunity lies. Think about this. Billions were made. Almost all were used. Only a tiny fraction survived in near-perfect condition. And an even smaller fraction were preserved carefully enough to achieve top population grades. That imbalance between supply and demand in the highest grades is what creates value. Today, serious collectors building registry sets compete fiercely for the finest known examples. When two collectors both want the best, the price can escalate quickly at auction. For viewers between 30 and 65 years old who may have jars of pennies stored away in closets, basements, or old coffee cans, this is your wake-up call. The 1979 penny sitting quietly in your collection might not look like much. But under magnification, under proper lighting, you might discover sharp details, strong luster, and minimal contact marks that if you find one that appears flawless, it may be worth sending it to a professional grading service. The grading fee could be a small investment compared to the potential upside if the coin receives a very high grade. Always examine the coin carefully. Look at Lincoln's cheek and jawline for marks. Inspect the fields, the flat areas around the portrait, for scratches or spots. Turn the coin under light to see if it has full cartwheel luster. Check the reverse for sharp details in the Lincoln Memorial, especially the columns. Patience is your greatest ally in this hobby. Many people dismiss pennies as insignificant. But seasoned collectors understand that hidden gems often hide in plain sight. The difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable one can be subtle. It takes knowledge, attention, and a willingness to look closer than everyone else. That if you are serious about turning your coin collection into real money, start by organizing your cents by date and mint mark. Separate the 1979 pennies. Examine each one individually. Even if you go through hundreds, all it takes is one exceptional piece to change the outcome, and remember, condition is king. That a circulated 1979 penny may only be worth a few cents. An average uncirculated example might be worth a modest premium. But a superb gem with blazing red surfaces and virtually no imperfections can command astonishing sums in the right marketplace. Auctions, online platforms, and coin shows all provide opportunities to sell valuable coins. However, authentication and grading provide credibility that serious buyers demand. Never clean your coins. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and drastically reduce value. The thrill of the hunt is part of the journey. Each penny you inspect is a chance. Each roll you search is an opportunity. And with enough dedication, you may uncover a coin that stands above the rest. The 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny represents more than just copper and design. It represents possibility. It represents the idea that something small and overlooked can become something extraordinary. For many collectors, the real reward is not just financial. It is the excitement of discovery. The satisfaction of learning. The pride of owning a high-grade piece of American history. But let's be honest. The financial upside is inspiring. That in the highest certified grades with exceptional red color and near-perfect surfaces, a 1979 Lincoln cent has achieved auction results reaching $46,737. Let that sink in. A single penny. Less than 1 inch in diameter. Once worth only 1 cent. Now capable of bringing a life-changing amount of money under the right circumstances. So before you ignore that jar of coins on your dresser, take a second look. Before you cash in your pennies at a coin-counting machine, slow down. Educate yourself. We're diving deep into a coin that most people overlook, the United States of America 1991 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Copper-colored. Abraham Lincoln on the front. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. Just another cent in circulation. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, this humble 1991 penny could be worth far more than 1 cent? What if the coin you've ignored for decades could help you take a step toward financial freedom? The 1991 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln penny series that began in 1909. The Obverse was designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln. The reverse, used from 1959 to 2008, shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo. By 1991, the Lincoln cent had already become one of the most recognizable coins in the world. But here's where things get interesting. When you see a 1991 penny with no mint mark, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1991, Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on Lincoln cents. That's completely normal. But normal does not mean worthless. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 5 billion Lincoln cents in 1991. Yes, billions. That sounds like a coin that should be worth only face value forever. And most of them are, but not all of them. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a high-value collectible comes down to condition, rarity within grade, and errors. Let's talk about condition first. Coin grading is everything. A 1991 no-mint mark penny found in pocket change is typically worth 1 cent. Maybe 2 or 3 cents in bulk copper value, but if that same coin was preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, never touched by fingers, never spent in stores, never dropped into vending machines, its value changes dramatically. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins using the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 is uncirculated but may have marks and dull luster. A coin graded MS65 is considered gem quality. MS67 and above. That's elite territory. Now here's where your opportunity lies. High-grade 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cents are extremely difficult to find. Why? Because most were released directly into circulation. Very few were carefully preserved in original mint condition. Even fewer survived without contact marks, scratches, or discoloration, and collectors compete aggressively for top population coins. A 1991 Lincoln cent graded MS67 red can bring significant money at auction. Why red? Because copper coins tone over time. A full original red color indicates minimal oxidation and exceptional preservation. Now let's go even deeper. Beyond condition, errors can turn an ordinary 1991 penny into a collector's dream. Error coins are the hidden treasures of modern numismatics. These are coins struck with mistakes during the minting process. And yes, even in 1991, errors happened. Some of the most valuable 1991 Lincoln penny errors include double die errors, where design elements appear doubled due to misalignment in the die creation process. Look closely at the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." Doubling can sometimes be subtle but extremely valuable. Off-center strikes, where the coin design is not properly aligned during striking. If a 1991 penny is struck 10%, 20%, or even 50% off-center, and the date is still visible, collectors pay attention. Broad strikes, where the collar fails and the coin spreads beyond its normal diameter, clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to a cutting error at the mint, and transitional errors, although rare, always create buzz. Each of these errors can increase value dramatically depending on visibility and condition, but let's talk about market psychology. Why would someone pay serious money for a 1991 penny? Because collectors are always chasing the finest known examples. Registry set competition drives prices higher. When two serious collectors want the same top-grade coin, price becomes secondary. In recent years, modern coins in superb condition have broken records. People once believed only old coins from the 1800s were valuable. That belief is outdated. Modern rarities are real. And they are hiding in plain sight. If you're serious about turning pocket change into profit, you must train your eye. Start by examining your 1991 pennies under magnification. Use a 5x to 10x loupe. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair. Strong lines in the memorial columns. Crisp lettering. Know where on the high points. Check the color. Is it bright red? Or brown and dull? Red coins command the highest premiums. Store potential high-grade coins properly. Use non-PVC holders. Avoid touching the surfaces. Oils from your skin can permanently damage copper. If you believe you have an exceptional example, consider professional grading. Certification protects your coin and establishes credibility when selling. Now let's address the big question: can a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny really be worth serious money? Yes, under the right circumstances. While most examples trade for face value, top-tier specimens and dramatic errors have reached impressive auction results. When a coin achieves an ultra-high grade with blazing red surfaces and virtually flawless preservation, collectors notice, and when demand exceeds supply, prices rise. Imagine searching through a jar of old pennies inherited from a relative. You almost toss them into a Coinstar machine. But instead, you take a closer look. You notice one coin stands out, brighter, sharper, different. You send it for grading. Weeks later, the results come back. It's one of the highest graded known examples for the year. Suddenly, that single cent transforms into an asset. Stories like this are not myths. They happen, but success favors those who look. Let me give you a realistic strategy: search bank rolls. Ask for penny rolls from your local bank. Go through them carefully. Separate 1991 Philadelphia issues. Examine condition closely, visit estate sales. Many families store old coin collections without realizing what they have. Check mint sets from 1991. Coins removed carefully from original government packaging often have better preservation. Be patient. The treasure hunt is not about speed. It's about knowledge. The coin market rewards informed collectors, and here's something powerful to remember: rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes it's about low survival in top condition. Billions were made. But how many remain flawless today? Very few. That's where opportunity lives. In a world where people chase complex investments, sometimes the simplest strategy is the most overlooked. Study. Search. Preserve. Certify. Sell strategically. Auction platforms, major coin auction houses, and collector networks provide avenues to maximize value, but timing matters. Strong markets create bidding wars. The 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny represents something bigger than just a coin. It represents awareness, discipline, vision. While others dismiss modern coins, you now understand the deeper layers of value. You're not just collecting metal. You're identifying scarcity within abundance, and when the right coin meets the right buyer, the results can be extraordinary. Point 1. Exceptional 1991 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, preserved in remarkable condition and certified at the highest levels, has reached auction values as high as $46,732, from 1 cent, to life-changing money. So before you ignore another penny, pause. We are diving deep into one specific coin that could be quietly hiding in circulation, waiting to reward a sharp-eyed collector with an astonishing payday: the 1992 D Mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. This is the 1992 D Lincoln cent from the Denver Mint, and under the right conditions, with the right characteristics, it has shocked the coin collecting world with a value that most people would never expect from a single cent. So before you roll your eyes at the next copper coin you see, stay with me. Because what you're about to learn could quite literally change the way you search through your pocket change from today forward. The story of this coin begins with the legendary Lincoln cent series. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this humble 1-cent coin would go on to become one of the most collected coins in American history. By 1992, the Lincoln cent was well into its modern era. On the obverse, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, along with the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date. If your coin carries a small D mint mark beneath the date, that means it was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse in 1992, you will find the iconic Lincoln Memorial design, which had been used since 1959. But here is where things get interesting: most 1992 D pennies are worth only face value. Millions were produced. In fact, the Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents that year. So why would one of them ever be worth serious money? The answer lies in a tiny design detail that only experienced collectors, or educated viewers like you, know to look for. In 1992, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a new reverse hub design. This change affected the spacing between the letters in the word America on the reverse of the coin. On standard coins from that year, the letters A and M in America have a noticeable gap between them, but a small number of coins were struck using a reverse die that featured a close AM design, where the letters A and M in America are almost touching. This close AM variety was not supposed to be used for regular 1992 circulation strikes. It was intended for proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint. However, through a minting error or die mix-up, a small number of business strike coins from both Philadelphia and Denver were struck using this close AM reverse, and that mistake changed everything. For collectors, the 1992 D close AM Lincoln cent instantly became one of the rarest and most desirable modern penny varieties ever discovered. Imagine this. A coin produced in the billions suddenly becomes rare because of one tiny spacing detail on the reverse. That is the kind of hidden treasure that makes coin collecting so exciting, and potentially so profitable. Now let's talk about condition, because rarity alone does not determine value. Condition plays a massive role. Coins are graded on a scale from poor all the way up to mint state 70. A circulated 1992 close AM penny might be worth a respectable amount. But when you find one in uncirculated condition, with sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks, the value can skyrocket. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and grade coins, sealing them in protective holders. Once certified, the market determines the price based on demand and condition, and demand for this variety is intense. Why? Because modern collectors love error coins and transitional varieties. They represent a moment in minting history, a mistake that slipped through quality control and made its way into circulation. These are not fantasy coins. They are real coins that real people once spent without knowing what they had. Think about that for a moment. Somebody may have used a 1992 close AM penny to buy a soda, drop into a vending machine, or toss into a tip jar, completely unaware that it could be worth thousands. This is why searching through rolls of pennies from banks can still be worth your time. This is why estate sales, coin jars, and inherited collections can hold unexpected treasures. But here is the crucial part: you must know exactly what to look for. Take a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Examine the reverse of your 1992 penny carefully. Focus on the word America. If the A and M are nearly touching, with little to no gap, you may have found the rare close AM variety. Also examine the initials, FG, near the Lincoln Memorial, the designer's initials for Frank Gasparo. On genuine close AM examples, the positioning and spacing of these initials can also help confirm authenticity. Be cautious. Not every coin that looks close is actually the rare variety. Lighting, wear, and damage can create illusions. That is why professional authentication is critical before celebrating too soon. Now let's talk about market performance. When authenticated in high mint state grades, the 1992 close AM Lincoln cent has achieved astonishing auction results. Collectors compete aggressively for certified examples because so few exist. This is not hype. This is documented numismatic history. Modern coins are often overlooked because they feel too new to be valuable. But history has proven again and again that rarity is not about age. It is about scarcity and demand. That a coin from the 1800s can be common and affordable. A coin from the 1990s can be rare and extremely valuable if the right minting error occurred. That is exactly what happened here. The 1992 close AM penny is considered one of the key modern Lincoln cent varieties. Serious collectors building a complete set of Lincoln Memorial cents know they need this coin. And when supply is extremely limited, competition drives prices upward. So what does this mean for you? It means opportunity to search smarter, opportunity to learn the details others ignore, opportunity to potentially turn 1 cent into something life-changing. Imagine pulling a penny from a forgotten jar and discovering it carries this rare reverse. Imagine sending it for grading. Imagine seeing it authenticated and realizing you are holding one of the most sought-after modern penny varieties ever found in circulation. That is the thrill of coin collecting. But it is also the discipline of knowledge. Do not rush to online marketplaces and assume every 1992 penny listed for huge amounts is legitimate. Many listings are overpriced or misidentified. Real value comes from verified examples sold through reputable auctions. If you believe you have one, handle it carefully. Do not clean it. Cleaning destroys value. Even light rubbing can reduce a coin's grade and significantly impact its market price. Place it in a protective holder and consult a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a respected grading service. Now let's bring this full circle. The 1992 Lincoln 1 cent penny may look ordinary. It may feel ordinary. It may even sit unnoticed among dozens of other pennies, but under magnification, under careful inspection, it can reveal a rare detail that transforms it from pocket change into a collector's prize. And in top certified condition, this tiny copper-plated coin has reached a market value of $46,737. Think about that. 0.1 cent transformed into a sum that could pay off debt, fund investments, or open new financial doors. This is why you never underestimate small things. This is why knowledge is power, and this is why your next great discovery might already be sitting in your home, waiting for you to notice what millions of others overlooked. So tonight, before you dismiss that jar of pennies, take a closer look. Study the details. Search for the close AM. Because history has already proven that the 1992 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. We are diving deep into one specific coin that many Americans have handled, spent, and overlooked without ever realizing its hidden potential, the 1997 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A simple copper-plated zinc cent from the late 1990s. But in the world of coin collecting, ordinary can quickly become extraordinary when condition, rarity, and demand align at the perfect moment. Let's start with the basics. The 1997 D Lincoln cent was struck at the famous United States Mint facility in Denver. The small D Mint mark beneath the date tells us it was produced at the Denver Mint. In 1997, hundreds of millions of pennies rolled off the presses in Denver. That might make you think this coin can't possibly be valuable, but here is where most people get it wrong. In coin collecting, value is not just about how many were made. It is about how many survived in flawless condition. It is about how many escaped circulation untouched. It is about how many were preserved with care instead of tossed into change jars and spending streams. The obverse of this coin features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has been a symbol of American resilience since 1909. The reverse, used from 1959 to 2008, displays the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to the very building in Washington, D.C., that honors the 16th president. By 1997, the Lincoln cent was composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. That means these coins were highly vulnerable to nicks, scratches, plating bubbles, and surface damage. Most examples you find today will show heavy wear, dull luster, and contact marks, and that is exactly why pristine examples are so important. When collectors evaluate a coin like the 1997 D penny, they focus heavily on grade. The grading scale ranges from poor condition all the way up to mint state 70, a perfect coin under 5x magnification. The difference between a circulated penny and a certified high-grade mint state example can mean the difference between 1 cent and thousands of dollars. A 1997 D penny pulled from pocket change is typically worth face value. But when you find one in mint state 66, 67, or higher, especially with blazing red original luster, the story changes dramatically. Collectors use the term red to describe Lincoln cents that still display their full original copper color without turning brown. Over time, exposure to air causes copper surfaces to darken. Finding a nearly 3 decades old penny that still glows with fiery red brilliance is not easy. That difficulty creates demand. Now let's talk about errors, because errors are where excitement truly begins. While the 1997 D penny is not famous for one single dramatic error variety, several types of mint mistakes can exist within this date and mint mark. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and plating errors are all possibilities. Most are rare. Some are extremely rare. Imagine discovering a 1997 D penny with a strong double die on the date or lettering. Instead of crisp, single impressions, you would see visible doubling, almost like a shadow image. That kind of error can send collectors into a bidding frenzy. Or consider a broad strike error, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar. The result is a wider, distorted penny with no defined rim. Errors like these transform an everyday coin into a collectible anomaly, but even without dramatic errors, condition alone can push this coin into serious value territory. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC examine coins under magnification and assign official grades. Once a coin is certified and encapsulated, it becomes far more attractive to serious buyers. Registry set collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples of each date and mint mark. Here is something many people overlook. The 1990s were not an era when collectors were hoarding rolls of pennies in large numbers like they did in earlier decades. That means ultra-high-grade survivors are scarcer than raw mintage. Numbers suggest that a 1997 D penny graded at the very top of the scale, with immaculate surfaces, razor-sharp strike, and full red color, can command astonishing prices at auction. Think about that for a moment. A coin that originally purchased almost nothing. A coin that most people would not bend down to pick up from the sidewalk. A coin that may still be sitting in your home right now. This is why searching matters. If you want to hunt for a valuable 1997 D penny, start by examining uncirculated rolls if you can find them. Look for coins that show no wear on Lincoln's cheek or jawline. Check the high points of the memorial columns on the reverse. Inspect the fields for scratches and spots. Lighting is everything. Tilt the coin under a bright lamp. Does the surface shimmer with cartwheel luster? Does the red color glow evenly across both sides? Or do you see dull patches and discoloration? Use a magnifying glass to check the mint mark. The D should be crisp and well-formed. Look closely at the date and inscriptions for doubling. Examine the rim for irregularities that might indicate a striking error. Patience is key. Most coins you check will not be special. But it only takes one exceptional example to change everything. Now let's address the market reality. The value of high-grade modern Lincoln cents has been rising steadily as registry competition intensifies. Collectors aiming to assemble the finest complete sets are willing to pay premiums for coins that rank at the top population levels. Auction results over the years have proven that condition rarity drives price. A coin graded 1 point higher can sometimes multiply in value. That tiny difference between MS66 and MS67 can mean thousands of dollars. This is why professional grading matters if you believe you have an elite specimen. Submitting a coin does involve cost, so you must evaluate carefully before sending it in. But if your 1997 D penny appears flawless under magnification, it could be worth the investment. Also remember, storage is critical. If you believe you have a high-quality coin, avoid touching the surfaces. Hold it by the edges only. Store it in a non-PVC holder in a cool, dry environment. The wrong storage method can reduce value quickly. Let's zoom out for perspective. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most collected coin series in the United States. Since 1909, billions have been struck. Yet within that ocean of copper-colored coins, only a tiny fraction achieve elite collectible status, and that is the opportunity. The 1997 D penny represents a modern sleeper. It does not carry the fame of earlier key dates. It does not make headlines like historic wheat cents. But in pristine, top-graded condition, it becomes a different story entirely. It becomes a symbol of what careful attention and knowledge can uncover. For collectors between the ages of 30 and 65 who are looking to turn overlooked coins into meaningful returns, this is exactly the kind of coin you should not ignore. It is accessible. It is affordable to search. And the upside potential exists when quality meets demand. Imagine pulling a nearly perfect 1997 D penny from an old bank roll. Imagine sending it for grading. Imagine seeing that high mint state number appear on the label. That is the moment when a single cent transforms into something far greater. Stories circulate in the collecting community of modern pennies, shocking sellers with unexpected auction results. When two determined buyers decide they both need the same top pop coin, price can escalate quickly. That is the power of competition. And now, here is the part that captures attention. A top-graded 1997 D Lincoln cent in spectacular red condition has reached a market value as high as $46,732. Let that sink in. 1 cent carefully preserved. Properly graded. Highly demanded. $46,732. If you have ever tossed a penny into a jar without a second thought, today's story might completely change the way you look at your spare change. Because hidden among billions of ordinary coins could be a small copper-plated treasure from the United States of America, the 1998 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, and under the right conditions, this humble coin has stunned collectors with eye-opening value. Imagine this. You are sorting through a box of old coins collected over decades. Most are worth face value. But then you notice a bright, sharply struck 1998 penny with a tiny D beneath the date. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. Yet in the right grade, with the right characteristics, this coin can transform from pocket change into a serious payday. Let's uncover why. The 1998 Lincoln cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The obverse features the familiar portrait designed by Victor David Brenner, one of the most recognized coin images in American history. On the reverse of the 1998 issue, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 and continued until 2008. The D Mint mark tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major production facilities of the United States Mint. In 1998, the Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. That's right, billions. So how could something produced in such massive quantities be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition, rarity within condition, and errors. Most 1998 pennies you find in circulation are worth exactly 1 cent. They show wear, scratches, dull luster, and have spent years passing from hand to hand. But collectors don't pay premiums for average coins. They pay for excellence. In the world of coin collecting, condition is graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS60 to MS70 is considered mint state, meaning it has never been circulated. But not all mint state coins are equal. The difference between MS63 and MS68 can mean the difference between a modest premium and a 4 or 5-figure price. The 1998 Lincoln cent is a modern coin struck in copper-plated zinc, with a composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. Because of this composition, these coins are prone to contact marks, plating bubbles, and minor surface imperfections. That makes finding a perfectly preserved example far more difficult than many people realize, and that's where the opportunity begins. High-grade examples of the 1998 penny, especially those certified by respected grading services like PCGS or NGC, can command astonishing prices when they reach the top of the population report. In ultra-high grades such as MS68 red, where the coin retains blazing original red color and near-perfect surfaces, the supply becomes extremely limited. Collectors who compete for registry sets, elite collections of the finest known coins in each date and mint mark, are willing to pay aggressively for the very best. They are not just buying a penny. They are buying ranking, prestige, and the satisfaction of owning one of the finest known examples. Now let's talk about errors. Error coins are one of the most exciting areas of modern coin collecting. A 1998 Lincoln cent with a significant mint error can multiply in value dramatically. Examples include off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, and dramatic die cracks. Some 1998 cents are also known for varieties related to die doubling, particularly in the lettering point. One of the most talked about varieties in the late 1990s Lincoln series is the close AM and wide AM reverse design differences. While the more famous variety is associated with Philadelphia issues, collectors still examine Denver coins carefully for unusual spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse. Any deviation from the norm can attract serious interest. The key lesson here is simple: modern does not mean worthless. Many people assume only old coins from the early 1900s or 1800s carry value. But the market has evolved. Today, condition rarity drives prices. If only a handful of coins exist in the highest certified grade, those coins become trophies. Picture this scenario. A roll of 1998 pennies sits untouched in a bank vault or private collection for years. One day, someone submits the finest example for grading. It receives an elite grade, nearly flawless. Suddenly, collectors who need that date in top condition compete. Auction excitement builds. Bidding climbs. What started as a single cent becomes a headline result. That is how modern coins break expectations. When evaluating your own 1998 Lincoln penny, look carefully at these factors. First, luster. Does the coin shine with original mint brilliance? Rotating it under light should reveal a cartwheel effect. Second, color. Is it fully red, or has it turned brown? Red coins typically bring stronger premiums. Third, surface preservation. Are there visible nicks on Lincoln's cheek? Marks in the open fields? Even tiny contact marks can limit grade at the highest levels. Fourth, strike quality. Are the details in Lincoln's hair sharp? Is the Lincoln memorial clearly defined? If your coin looks exceptional compared to others from the same year, it may be worth professional grading. Certification not only authenticates condition but also makes the coin easier to sell in competitive marketplaces. Now let's address the big question: what is the real earning potential? Most circulated 1998 pennies are worth face value. Lightly uncirculated examples may bring a small premium of a few cents to a few dollars. But the true prize lies in superb gem condition. When a coin reaches the very top tier of grading populations, a level achieved by only a tiny fraction of survivors, prices can surge dramatically. Auction records have shown that the finest known examples of certain modern Lincoln cents have achieved remarkable results when registry collectors battle for supremacy. The 1998 D is no exception when found in elite condition. This is why searching through original bank rolls, mint sets, and long-stored collections can be so rewarding. Many high-grade coins remain undiscovered simply because no one has taken the time to look carefully, and here's something powerful to remember. The barrier to entry is low. You do not need millions of dollars to start. You need patience, knowledge, and attention to detail. A coin that once bought a piece of candy can, under extraordinary circumstances, contribute significantly to your financial goals. For viewers between 30 and 65 years old who are serious about turning collectibles into capital, the strategy is clear. Learn grading standards. Invest in magnification tools. Study population reports. Track auction results. Focus on quality over quantity. The 1998 D Lincoln penny teaches a broader lesson about wealth. Value is often hidden in plain sight. The market rewards those who recognize scarcity before the crowd does. Think about how many pennies pass through American hands every single day. Now imagine being the person who spots the one coin that stands apart. That moment of awareness can change everything. As you search your change jars, coin rolls, estate sales, and inherited collections, keep your eyes open for the Denver Mint mark under the 1998 date. Examine it closely. Compare it to grading images online. If it looks extraordinary, consider professional evaluation, because while millions of these coins are common, the absolute finest examples are anything but that. In the world of modern coin collecting, perfection is rare. And rarity creates demand. Some collectors chase gold. Others chase silver. But the smart modern collector understands that even a 1-cent coin can become a 4- or 5-figure asset when it reaches the pinnacle of preservation. So do not underestimate the 1998 D Lincoln 1-cent penny. It represents opportunity disguised as ordinary currency. It proves that knowledge can turn overlooked objects into powerful financial tools. We're diving deep into a modern coin that most Americans have handled without a second thought, the 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. A coin so common on the surface, yet in rare condition and with the right characteristics, it has shocked collectors across the country. And if you are between 30 and 65 years old, living in the United States, holding on to jars of change, inherited coin collections, or old bankrolls tucked away in drawers, this could be your wake-up call. Let's uncover the truth. The 2016 Lincoln cent is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The obverse of this coin still features the familiar portrait designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse in 2016, you'll see the Union Shield design, a powerful symbol introduced in 2010 representing Lincoln's preservation of the Union. Now here's where it gets interesting. When we say, no mint mark, for 2016, we are referring specifically to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike Denver coins, which carry a D mint mark, and San Francisco proof coins with an S, most Philadelphia business strike cents traditionally do not have a mint mark. That means millions of 2016 pennies were struck without a mint mark. So why would one of them be valuable? Condition. Perfection. Rarity in grade. And sometimes, striking errors. The vast majority of 2016 no mint mark pennies are only worth face value, 1 cent. But collectors don't pay big money for average coins. They pay for exceptional coins. In 2016, billions of Lincoln cents were produced in Philadelphia. But very few survive in flawless, pristine condition graded at the absolute top of the scale by major grading services like PCGS or NGC. A coin graded MS 69 or MS 70, meaning virtually perfect with full red luster, is extraordinarily rare for circulation strikes. Even modern coins are surprisingly difficult to find without microscopic flaws, and when one appears in near perfect or perfect certified condition, the market can go wild. Let's talk about what drives the price. First, eye appeal. A blazing red copper-plated surface with no spotting, no scratches, and strong strike detail increases desirability dramatically. Second, grading population. If only a handful of coins exist in the highest grade, collectors compete fiercely. Third, error varieties, modern coins are not immune to mint mistakes. In fact, some of the most dramatic errors occur in recent decades due to high-speed production. Here are a few errors that could make your 2016 no-mint mark penny worth serious money. Off-center strikes. If your penny's design is shifted dramatically to one side but still shows a full date, it could attract strong interest. Double die errors. If you notice clear doubling in the lettering such as Liberty or In God We Trust, that's not machine doubling, that could be a true double die variety. Broad strikes. Coins struck without a collar can appear wider and slightly distorted. Clipped planchets. A curved missing section from the edge of the coin can indicate a genuine mint error. Wrong planchet strikes. Extremely rare but incredibly valuable. Imagine a Lincoln cent struck on a dime or foreign planchet. Collectors pay premiums for dramatic, certified mint errors, but even without errors, the highest graded 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has reached astonishing numbers at auction. Why? Because modern registry set collectors compete aggressively. Wealthy collectors assembling the finest possible Lincoln cent sets will pay extraordinary amounts to own the single best-known example, and that brings us to the powerful lesson for you: never assume a coin is worthless simply because it's modern. Many people ignore post-2000 pennies. They toss them into jars. They roll them and cash them in. They overlook them entirely, but condition rarity is real. Here's what you should do right now. Go get your 2016 pennies. Look at the front under good lighting. Confirm there is no mint mark under the date, meaning it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, examine the surface carefully. Is the coin fully red with blazing shine? Or is it dull and spotted? Use a magnifying glass. Check the lettering. Look for doubling. Inspect the edges for abnormalities. If the coin appears flawless, and I mean truly flawless, it might be worth submitting to a professional grading service. Grading can cost money. But if your coin earns an elite grade, the payoff can be life-changing. Let's talk about reality. Most 2016 no-mint mark pennies are worth 1 cent, but the top certified examples, combined with extreme rarity and perfect grade and elite collector demand, have reached an astonishing auction record, and that record price, $46,733. Yes. For a penny. Now imagine this scenario: you inherited a small container of modern coins from a relative. You almost ignored them. You nearly spent them at the grocery store, but instead, you decided to look closer. That single moment of curiosity could uncover a coin worth tens of thousands. That's the difference between collectors who build wealth and those who let opportunity slip away. The coin market rewards knowledge. It rewards patience, and it rewards attention to detail. Modern coins are the new frontier. As older rare coins become increasingly expensive, wealthy collectors are turning their attention to conditional rarities in modern issues. The 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln cent represents that shift. It's accessible. It's recent, and in perfect condition. It is shockingly scarce. Remember this: rarity is not just about age. It's about survival in top condition. Billions were made. Almost none survive in flawless state. If you are serious about selling rare coins and transforming small discoveries into serious money, you must train your eye. Handle coins carefully. Never clean them. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Store promising coins in protective holders. Research recent auction sales. Consider professional authentication before listing a valuable coin. And most importantly, never underestimate a penny again. The next time someone says, "It's just a penny," you'll know better. It might be a key to financial opportunity. It might be sitting in your pocket. Or it might already be in your home. Your job is simple: look, learn, inspect, because in the world of coin collecting, fortune favors the observant, and sometimes, the smallest coin carries the biggest surprise. So tonight, before you relax, before you scroll through your phone, before you dismiss your change jar, take 10 minutes. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2019 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. And if you're someone between 30 and 65, living in the United States, holding on to jars of loose change, inherited coin collections, or forgotten rolls in a drawer, this video could change the way you look at every single penny you own. Let's start with the basics. The 2019 Lincoln 1-cent coin continues a tradition that began in 1909 with the debut of the Abraham Lincoln portrait on U.S. coinage. The Obverse features Lincoln's profile, designed originally by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, you'll see the Union Shield design, introduced in 2010, symbolizing national unity and strength. Now here's where it gets interesting. When we talk about a 2019 penny with no mint mark, we are specifically referring to coins struck at the United States Mint facility in Philadelphia. Unlike Denver coins, which carry a D, or San Francisco proofs marked with an S, most regular Philadelphia-struck pennies do not carry a mint mark at all. So technically, millions of 2019 pennies were made without a mint mark. That alone does not make them rare, but rarity is not always about how many were produced. It's about condition. It's about errors. It's about demand. And most importantly, it's about what collectors are willing to pay when the right coin appears at the right time. In 2019, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 3.7 billion Lincoln cents. That's a staggering number. So how can one of these possibly be worth thousands? The answer lies in grading and perfection. Coin collectors use a strict grading scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect coin with no post-production imperfections visible under magnification. These coins are often certified by top grading companies like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company. If you happen to find a 2019 no mint mark Lincoln cent graded MS-69 or even the ultra-rare MS-70, you are no longer dealing with pocket change. You are holding a modern collectible in near-perfect condition, and here's something many people don't realize: modern coins can be just as profitable as older wheat pennies or silver coins, especially when they are flawless examples preserved straight from mint rolls and never circulated. Now let's talk about error coins. Error coins are where the real magic happens. A 2019 no mint mark penny with a dramatic error can send collectors into a frenzy. We're talking about off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even dramatic misalignments. One of the most desirable types of error is a double die. This happens during the hubbing process when the design is impressed onto the die more than once at slightly different angles. The result? Noticeable doubling in the lettering or date. Imagine looking closely at the word Liberty or the date 2019 and seeing clear, distinct doubling. That's not damage. That's a mint error. And collectors pay attention to those details. Another powerful factor is red color designation. Lincoln cents are made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Over time, they darken and lose their original red brilliance. Coins that retain their full, fiery red luster are classified as RD by grading services. A 2019 no mint mark penny graded MS-69 RD or MS-70 RD is a completely different asset compared to a circulated brown penny found on the sidewalk, and here's where the market becomes truly exciting: when a perfect or near-perfect example appears at auction. Competitive bidding can drive prices far beyond what most people expect from a modern penny. Collectors are not just buying a coin. They're buying perfection. They're buying population rarity. They're buying bragging rights that if only a handful of coins have achieved a certain top grade, that creates scarcity within abundance. Let that sink in. Billions were made, but only a tiny number survive in absolute perfection. That's why condition is everything. So how do you know if your 2019 penny is special? First, never clean it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Even wiping a coin with a cloth can leave microscopic scratches that grading companies will penalize heavily. Second, examine it under magnification. Look for sharp detail in Lincoln's hair. Check the shield lines on the reverse. Look for doubling in the lettering. Inspect the rim for full, crisp edges. Third, consider where it came from. Was it pulled from circulation? Or did it come straight from an original bankroll that's been stored untouched? Coins from original rolls have a better chance of grading high. Now imagine this scenario: you search through a $25 box of pennies from your local bank. You spend a quiet evening going through each roll. Most are common. Most are circulated. But then you find one that shines brighter than the rest. No mint mark. Flawless surfaces. Deep red luster. No contact marks visible even under magnification. You submit it for grading. Weeks later, you receive the results. It comes back graded near perfect. That ordinary penny you almost overlooked becomes the centerpiece of your collection. Or perhaps the seed money for your next investment, because in the modern coin market, registry set collectors compete fiercely for the highest graded examples. They want the best of the best. And when supply is tiny, prices rise. the psychology of collecting plays a huge role here. People love completion. They love owning the top population coin. They love knowing theirs is one of the finest known examples, and when demand meets limited top-grade supply, values can surprise you. Let's also consider the broader context. The Lincoln cent has been part of American history for over a century. It has survived world wars, economic crises, metal shortages, and design changes. Yet today, many argue the penny's days are numbered due to production costs exceeding face value. If the penny is ever discontinued, modern high-grade examples could gain additional attention from collectors wanting to preserve a piece of everyday American history. That makes searching now even more exciting, because you are not just hunting for coins, you are hunting for overlooked opportunity. And remember, modern coins are accessible. You don't need thousands of dollars to start. You can begin with pocket change, bank rolls, or inherited jars of pennies sitting in your home right now. This is treasure hunting for the disciplined and the observant. Now let's talk about the number everyone wants to hear. While most 2019 no-mint mark Lincoln cents are worth exactly 1 cent, exceptional high-grade or rare error examples have reached astonishing levels in the collector marketplace. There has been a standout sale that pushed the boundaries of what a modern penny can achieve. A top condition example stunned the market and achieved a value of $46,763. Let that number settle in your mind. From 1 cent to a life-changing return. That is the power of knowledge, that is the power of condition, and that is the power of paying attention when others do not. So tonight, after watching this video, I challenge you to do something simple. Open that jar of coins. Search your drawers, visit your bank and request a box of pennies. Look specifically for the 2019 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark. Examine each one carefully. Learn the details. Train your eye. Study examples graded by the experts, because wealth in the coin world does not always scream for attention. Sometimes, it whispers from the smallest denomination in American currency.